Hey everyone, welcome back to another LinkedIn Live. My name is JT. I'm the founder of Work It Daily, and today we're going to be talking about transferable skills, primarily the difference between hard and soft skills, but also how to map your transferable skills to your personal brand so that you're sending a stronger, more concise message to the world, especially if you're in active job search right now, which I know a lot of you are that watch this show. So before we get started, some housekeeping, some things that I want you to remember. In order to comment today, we're on all sorts of different platforms. We're on Facebook, Facebook groups, YouTube, LinkedIn. The only way that you're going to be able to get your questions answered, though, is if you are following me here on LinkedIn. So really simple. Run over to my LinkedIn profile, click the follow button. That is going to give you access here to the stream on LinkedIn and will get you into the comment section. Otherwise, you can totally watch from the other platforms. We love having you here, but the only way you can actually get your questions answered is to be over on the LinkedIn Live. So you've got to follow me, hit the follow button on my profile, and you will be good to go. All right. Awesome. So enough on that. I'll be back to all of you. Let's see if I can get this going. Perfect. So transferable skills, for those of you, let's start off with a little question. I want everyone in the comments to put what they think transferable skills are. So give me the definition of transferable skills. Let's play a game here. Let's get your brains turned on. So what do you think transferable skills are? And once you've typed that in there, I am going to go ahead and we're going to start talking about it. The reality is you are a business of one. I tell you that all the time. Don't think like an employee. Think like a business of one who wants to build a business partnership. And every good business has skills. You have skills. Skills are the value that you provide to an employer, how you deliver value. So think about this basic business transaction. We need to save or make a company enough money in order to justify the cost of hiring us. And it's not just our salary. So if you want $50,000 a year, you need to take that number and multiply it by 130 to 140%, because that's what it's really costing the employer to hire you. They've got taxes they need to pay, training, overhead expenses. A lot goes into hiring an employee. So take that number, figure out what that number is, and then ask yourself, how do I deliver value? What skills do I use in order to save or make a company enough money to justify that cost? That's how a business partner thinks. And when you think that way and you articulate that and you share that, you are sending a clear message to the world that you know your value. And that is a wonderful thing. Too many people out there these days are struggling to grow in their careers or to get that dream job. And it's because they don't understand how to present the right transferable skills. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So very, very important topic, one that's near and dear to my heart, right? So you all have skills. You're all businesses of one. The secret is understanding how to really share the right skills so they know that you know how to justify your cost. So the thing that I want you to think about next is that your brand, right, should showcase your specialty. Now, most of us are a Jack or Jill of all trades. What does that mean? It means that you have a lot of different skills that you can use. And the older you get and the more you work, the more skills you have. And you might think, wow, that makes me even more marketable. But it is not a good idea to market yourself as a Jack or Jill of all trades because it dilutes your effectiveness. Companies hire people to solve problems and alleviate pain. They don't hire you just because they like you. They hire you because you need to do something very important for them. And so when you're in pain, you want a specialist. You want somebody who you know can solve that pain or solve that problem as quickly as possible. So you're looking for the aspirin, not the vitamin. The aspirin, the painkiller. That's what employers are looking for. If you sit there and tell them you can do everything, not to sound a little crazy, but you sound like a snake oil salesman. Remember back in the day, snake oil cured everything? Nobody believes it. And so you don't want to go out there and say that you can do everything because you're diluting your effectiveness. Really good businesses of one, really good businesses in general, know what they're good at and what they're not good at. And they know how to market that very special thing they do better than their competition, better than anybody else. So when you're building out your personal brand, you got to dial it in, my friends. You've got to select the transferable skills that tie best to the way you solve problems and alleviate pain. So that, when an employer sees that, they hear ding, ding, ding. Ooh, this is somebody that has a specialty. This is somebody who's going to be able to hit the ground running and add more value more quickly. And that's what you're trying to do with your brand. Okay. So yes, you can do a whole bunch of different things. I get it, folks. but you can't market that. You have to, again, dial it in. I use that term all the time. People think I'm a broken record, but that's what we're doing, bringing into focus the pain that you alleviate, the problem that you solve, and the very special skills you use to do that. Does that make sense to everyone? If it does, I want you to put a big yes in the chat for me so that I know we're all on the same page together. Yes? Okay, so let's keep going then. So we're going to choose skills that support your value. And this is where most people get tripped up. This is something I see all the time. So in Work It Daily, our members join us, and one of the first things they usually do is submit their resume for review. And a classic mistake on the resume, and a lot of times on LinkedIn too, is that they don't know how to select the right transferable skills. So the definition of a transferable skill is a skill that you could take from job to job to job and use to create valuable. That's why it's transferable. You can go from place to place and use it. The thing that you have to understand, though, is that, and let me bring this up, is that you need to know your preferred way of delivering value so that you can choose the right skills to showcase. What did I just say earlier? You have a lot of different skills, but we don't want to showcase all of those. We got to showcase the ones that you want to be most using. So what do I mean by this? So you ever hear people say, oh, make sure you love your work, make sure you feel satisfied, follow your passion, all that kind of advice. We don't believe in that at Work It Daily. I'm an engineer by degree. I'm an engineering nerd. I like science. I like process. So when we're working with somebody, we're going to say, let's figure out how you prefer to deliver value. And over many years of doing this, we've learned that there are 8 ways that people like to deliver value in the workplace. And we refer to them as workplace personas, because your persona is your brand. And so you need to understand that while you could probably deliver in all 8 ways, all of us could, you have preferences. There are certain ways that you like to deliver value. And your top 3 ways, your most predominant personas, when put together, are how you save or make a company money, how you justify the cost of hiring you, and enjoy doing it in the process. See what I mean? Because if you are forced to, be a workplace persona, if you are forced to do something the way an employer needs you, but it doesn't serve you, you don't feel good about doing it, you're going to be really dissatisfied in your job. And, give me a shout out. Anybody here who's ever been in a job where you could do the job, you know how to do it, but it just doesn't light your fire. It bores the heck out of you. It's not using the skills that you want to use. It's not helping you grow in a way you want to grow. The job becomes boring. It becomes tedious. You become unhappy. It's a bad dynamic. Has anyone ever been there? I know I've been there. We've all had those jobs in our career, right? So knowing which personas you prefer, how you like to deliver value is very important, because then we're going to pull the right transferable skills, match them to the personas, and put your brand out there to the world and attract the right employers who are looking for that. Is this all coming together for you now? If you want a job that you really enjoy, it starts with you, not the employer. It starts with you figuring out your workplace personas, the top 3, and which skills you want to use in order to deliver that value. Once you know that, and once you brand that on your resume, on your LinkedIn profile, in your cover letter, in your interview prep, how you answer questions, your brand for your business of one will be amazing. You will be so confident, you will be so clear, your messaging will be on point, and you will attract the right employers. They will fall in love with you because they're going to know that you know yourself, that you are not trying to be all things to all people, that you really know what lights your fire and how you want to deliver value. And that's what employers want to hire. That's what they're looking for. So this is a very, very important part of the process that most people don't know how to do. Does that make sense to everybody? Give me a yes if it does. So the Career Decoder quiz, if you're looking for how to do this, and I will just bring it up here on the screen so that you can see it. If you go over to workitdaily.com/resources, we have a whole bunch of free resources there, but one of them is the Career Decoder quiz. You can also go to workitdaily.com/quiz and take this quiz. It's a 20-question quiz. It will not take you long to take. It's free to do. And it's going to tell you, it's going to send you via email your top 3 results, as well as videos and an explanation of these personas and why you like to create that type of value. And this is really, really important for people to understand. Like I said, there are 8 of them. And, just to tell you, there is the educator, there is the super connector, there's the builder, there's the researcher, there's the optimizer, there's the visionary, the mentor, and the warrior. And every person out there, while you could be all 8 of those things, you predominantly are going to fall into 3 that are your top. And knowing those and knowing what skills to map those are going to make your branding process 100 times easier. So it's really worth it to take this quiz if you don't already understand how to do this. Okay. So check it out in the resources, workitdaily.com/quiz. You can go take the quiz. And then of course, if you decide to take the quiz while you're listening to this, post your results. I want to see what your results are in the live chat. Let's take a look at your results and we can go from there. Okay. But for sake of time, I'm going to keep moving and then we'll come back to that. Okay, so the top 3 ways you love to deliver value are your workplace personas. We've gotten clear on that. And if we know what those are, we can map our skills. However, I'm talking about your hard skills. And this is another place where people get completely tripped up. So you hear transferable skills and you think, oh yeah, like I have so many transferable skills. JT, I'm hardworking. I have attention to detail. I'm patient. I'm pleasant. Those are soft skills. Those are not hard skills. When I say transferable skills, I am actually referring to your hard skills: project management, digital marketing, written communications, presentations, training, staff management, finance, business analysis, research, anything that is a hard skill, not a soft skill. The difference and the litmus test to know if you are choosing a transferable skill correctly is whether or not you can measure it. If you can quantify a skill, then it's a hard skill. So I'm going to give you an example because people often get confused with this. Let's look at this one. Attention to detail is not a hard skill. Therefore, we're not going to put it in the transferable skill category. Yes, you can have attention to detail at every job you go on, and I would encourage you to do that. But I can't quantify how many times you've had attention to detail. On the other hand, project management requires an incredible amount of attention to detail. I can tell you how many projects in my area of expertise I've managed or led and what the results were around that. That is a transferable skill. That is a hard skill. This is the difference. So going back to what I said, in Work It Daily, people come in, they join the program, they send us their resume and their LinkedIn profiles for review, and we tell them what's wrong with it. Our career coaches literally get online with a video and tell them what's wrong, send it back to them, and then teach them how to fix it. And then they fix it and they send it in again, and we say, yes, this is good to go, or hey, change a few more things. One of the most common things we see is that people have chosen the wrong transferable skills. And this is vitally important because your transferable skills need to be front and center on the top of your resume and in your LinkedIn profile. And if you have things like attention to detail, kind, patient, those are soft skills. Those are an opinion of yourself. That is a subjective assumption and interpretation about your skills that I cannot measure. So as a recruiter, I can't validate that. I can't look at your resume and go, oh yeah, you're patient, right? I can't do that. I can look at it and say, you say you've got project management. You say you've got operations experience, business analysis. I can look at your work history and look at your bullet points and validate that you do in fact have those skills and know that those match. See how that makes sense? So this is another really important part of the process, folks. Test every transferable skill. Can I measure it? Can I quantify it? If I cannot, then that's my interpretation. That's a soft skill. And while soft skills are important, and all this research out there says it's important, employers will evaluate your soft skills when they meet with you, but they're not going to evaluate your soft skills through an application process because they can't. A piece of paper is not going to validate that for them. But your numbers backing in your experience and quantifying it against the hard skills, that is something that you can do. All right. Does that make sense to everybody? 2 really big key concepts here. 1, understanding your workplace personas and choosing the top 3 that you want to market about yourself. And then 2, mapping your hard skills, your quantifiable skills, your transferable skills against those. So let me give you an example. Sometimes I'll have somebody who is a builder. And if their real strong suit is builder, then they have probably done a lot of project management because they're used to building things, delegating things, executing on a blueprint and a plan. If I have an educator, then they've probably been responsible for training or coaching or explaining to people, right? So they can quantify for me how many times they have presented, or how many times they have managed or trained somebody. If I have a super connector, this is generally people who are really good about putting people together, introducing people, building relationships, networking. So that's somebody who could quantify their background in presenting. They could quantify their background in sales, in business development, in customer service, right? These are all transferable skill sets that they could quantify in some way. So there are all of these different personas. You can select very carefully the hard skills, the transferable skills that match to them, and then use them quite specifically in your resume and your LinkedIn profile. And the number one way that you do that is you not only call these out, because this is what recruiters look for. They search on these keywords. You'll find them in your skills and endorsements section on LinkedIn, for example. So you want these in very specific places on LinkedIn in your resume, and then you want your bullet points in your work history to validate those. So now you're saying that you have these skill sets, you're branding yourself. Okay, I get it. This is this person's specialty. This is how they save or make money. Let me go down and validate that. And this is how you create a really strong brand, because now the data, the information that you're putting on these important career tools is accurate and reflects what you want to market about yourself. This is how you make the best opportunities come to you. Does that make sense to everyone? So here's my assignment to you. Once you understand this, you go figure out your top personas, you identify them, you take your 10 to 12 hard skill sets, you make sure that you've got your quantifiable skill sets, and you map them to the 3. So for me, for example, I say, all right, you've got your top 3 personas, give me 4 hard skills, 4 transferable skills for each one. That's going to give me 12 skill sets that I want to market about myself, that make sure that if I get a job and that employer hires me for that skill sets, for those personas, that I'm going to be doing work that I love. And then in my work history, I'm going to make sure that my bullet points are all validating those hard skills. See how it works? It's simple engineering, basic math, it's logic. This is what I love. I am not leaving anything to chance here when it comes to your resume and your LinkedIn profile. When you choose your top personas and you map your hard skills to them, and then you take those hard skills and you apply them to your work history, pure gold, my friends. It's logical, it makes sense, and it's sending an on-point message about who you are as a professional. Now, the reason I love this technique so much too is, let's say you've done something for a bunch of years and you're looking to do a career pivot. You are looking to change directions. You've got to look at your personas and map your skill sets to the job you want to go in next. And then what you do is you de-emphasize or take out the skill sets that don't relate anymore from those old jobs, and you play up the skill sets that apply to what you want to do next, so that you can be found, so that you can validate that you can do the job. This is how you do that. This is the process for doing that. Okay, I'm going to stop there and say, does this make sense to everybody? Yes? I love doing these mini trainings. They're so fun. So what I'm going to do now is open it up for questions. Again, just a reminder, hello to everybody that's on all the different platforms that we're streaming on today. Just remember that I'm only answering questions for people who are following me on LinkedIn. That's how you get access to the LinkedIn stream. Post your questions. My teammates are here helping me out, and I will be able to answer them in real time. Okay? Awesome. So let's go over here and see my questions. See what we've got. So first question, Jason B. Hey, Jason B. How much do you value customer service as a transferable skill? Jason, that is a perfect example of a good, hard transferable skill. So customer service, you can tell me in the work history how many customers per day that you helped, and how much did you reduce refunds, and how many problems did you solve for customers? There are things that you can measure. Satisfaction rating, maybe you were rated as a customer service representative. These are all numbers and stats that you can give me that tell me that you understand customer service, because you know what's being measured to define success in that area. So great transferable skill: customer service, client relations, sales, business development. A lot of them fall in that area, right? So if you say to me though, and Jason, here's a great example of what's not a good transferable skill: I'm a problem solver. Can't really measure that in context. It's great that you think you're a problem solver, and I'm sure that you probably are, but that's not helping me as a recruiter evaluate you. And, I just want to explain this to folks. If you don't understand why this is so important, let me give you a little insider into the world of a recruiter. A recruiter is a technical buyer. What I mean by that is they can't get you hired. They aren't making the final say on whether or not you get hired for the job, but they can screen you out from getting the job. And the way that recruiters are evaluated on their own performance, the way that a recruiter keeps their job is that they find candidates who match a set of criteria that they were given. So a recruiter can't walk into an employer and say, you really should look at this person. Hiring manager looks at it and goes, they don't have the criteria I asked you for. That looks bad on the recruiter. So that's why recruiters really need you to put these transferable hard skills down, because they're being told, find me somebody with 2 years customer service. Find me somebody with 5 years of this. Find me somebody that's got this, and this skill set. Hard skills, transferable skills. When you serve that up to them on your resume and your LinkedIn profile, you are making it so much easier for that recruiter to screen you in instead of screen you out. And they are so busy and so stressed out going through hundreds, sometimes thousands of applicants. You need to make this as easy as possible for them. You will get found more on LinkedIn when you know how to map the transferable skills that you need for the kinds of jobs that you want. That's the truth. It's an algorithm. LinkedIn's an algorithm. The search results are all based on how many times that keyword that recruiter searched on for you came up in the search results. So you need to know your key skill sets, and you need to get them throughout your profile. And there's very specific places that you need to know how to do that. And we teach that inside Work It Daily. So if you're interested, go over to Work It Daily, sign up. We walk you through it with videos and you work with our team. But you've got to put these key skill sets in different places. And when you do, you will show up in the search results more. It always bums me out. Somebody will come to me and say, JT, I don't know what's going on. I'm not getting notice on LinkedIn. And I go in and their headline's not optimized. Their about section's not optimized. They've got no bullet points in their work history. No sense of their transferable skills, no concept of their brand. And, that's just a shame. That's just a wasted opportunity. So Jason, thank you for asking that. I hope that clarified and made a difference for you. Okay. Barry says, are the skills like visionary? What's a visionary? So no, Barry. So thank you for clarifying that. Your personas are sort of the perception of how you give it value, right? So if you're a visionary, you're somebody who can see things done before others. You're very good at presenting ideas. You're very good at motivating people. You're good at helping people understand what they need to do and why they need to do it. So you're not going to call yourself a visionary. And that's a great clarifying point, Barry. You're not going to call yourself any of these personas. You're not going to say you're a builder. What you're going to do is map the 4 transferable skills that tie to that. And that's what you're going to market about yourself. And that's how a recruiter is going to be able to assess and know what your brand is. We just found over many years at Work It Daily that people couldn't figure this out. They would just have this huge list of transferable skills and they wouldn't know, well, which 12 should I put on my resume, JT? Which 12 do I put on LinkedIn? Well, if you know your personas, your top 3 personas, and you can map your transferable skills, that's how you do it. That's why we built the quiz. Because we're just, literally we work with thousands of people with that same problem. We're not saying you go out and say, I'm a visionary, I'm a builder. We're just helping you label yourself so you know what transferable skills to pick. It's a very, very valuable, it's crazy accurate. I'm not going to lie. I'm so proud of our team for it. We've had like 70,000 people take this quiz. So we know that it works. I've even had people, psychologists say, wow, I can't believe how spot on this is. So it's very, very helpful. Sherry says, the challenge I've had is the hard skills I are connected to being an estate manager. Companies see the skills I have and are in a domestic setting and not an office. I have a hard time getting recruiters to see I did the work in an office setting in a home. Any ideas? Oh, yes, Sherry. So Sherry, this is what I mean about transferable skills. Did you project manage? Did you do reporting? Did you do analysis? Did you manage operations? Did you, there are things that you did. Those are the hard skills. Those are the transferable skills. It doesn't matter that you did it in a home setting, in a state setting versus, an actual physical office. This is what you've got to scrub out of your experience and get front and center. So Sherry, one of the big problems that people will have is that they don't have their resume set up right. So as a result, all that's being seen, for example, is that you are an estate manager. We need to de-emphasize that. What you have to do is play up your brand. So you need a brand headline and you need your key skill sets. And then when they see that and they get the brand, as they go through and they look at the work history, they're more likely to screen you in when the bullet points are supporting the skill sets that you've identified. So there's also a way that you're going to present this that will help de-emphasize that point. But yeah, this is, Sherry, you're a great example of somebody who has to say, wait a minute. What are those skill sets they're saying? Yeah, I did those things, and I'm going to quantify those in my work history so they know I did them, right? That's what you need to do. Great question, Sherry. I love it. Okay. Shyam, I hope I'm saying that correctly. Is it really required to mention soft skills in a resume? No. In fact, I've never said that, and you shouldn't. Please don't do that. I cringe when I see people say that I'm hardworking and I'm proven and I'm dedicated. And, those are soft skills. I can't fully measure those, and those can't be quantified on a resume. And it sounds subjective, and it sounds, unfortunately, self-important and a bit narcissistic. So folks, you really need to make sure that your resume is devoid of this stuff. Your soft skills are going to come out in your cover letter. They're going to come out in the interview process. You don't want to be discriminated against because you are self-proclaiming soft skills. And it's funny because everyone says to me, but wait a minute, JT, companies are all talking about soft skills. They want you to have soft skills on the resume. Okay, they say that, but it doesn't necessarily mean that's what you should give them, folks. You want to get past the screening process and talk to a human being. The way to do that is to be very factual. Give them enough information so that they can quickly go, check, 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 check. Shyam has all the hard skills, but you know what? I'm not really getting a sense of Shyam's personality, so I've got to get Shyam on the phone to learn more. Boom. Folks, if you're getting phone calls and recruiters are saying to you, yeah, I needed to talk to you because I needed more information. You should have more information on my resume and your LinkedIn profile. You should go, okay, thank you, and not change a thing. You got the phone call. So clearly you gave them just enough information to get them interested in you. That's what you're going for in your resume and your LinkedIn profile these days. Too little information won't work. Too much information, overkill. You need right in the middle, that fine balance in 2020. That's what's important. And soft skills, no, those don't go there. Make them call you to get the soft skills. All right. So Lisa says, is attention to detail not a hard skill for visual merchandiser? Oh, Lisa, thank you for asking this question. It is not. It is a soft skill. Attention to detail is a soft skill, okay? Visual merchandising. Quantify for me, Lisa, how many displays you put together in a week, and how many components are there to these displays, and how often do you have to coordinate these things? Those would be the bullet points and the quantification that I would see under your visual merchandising piece. Also some results, right? Resulted in a 10% upsell or a 50% upsell in this particular product, okay? You're going to give me the results, the numbers that validate that what you did worked. Out of that, what came out of that is things like merchandising optimization, right? Display optimization. And I would say merchandising techniques and project management. So these are things that you've done that you can go back and say, I completed, 50 setups in a month. Each of them resulted in, an increase of sales totaling $1 million. I don't know. I'm like shooting from the hip because I don't know it specifically. But for a recruiter, for me to see those numbers and understand and tie back how your hard skills delivered on that I can go sell to an employer. I can't go say, yeah, Lisa's got great attention to detail. How do you know that? Because she told me? No, that's my point. Not quantifiable, shouldn't go on there. You're going to talk about it in your interviews. Soft skills are going to come up. Trust me, there's a place for them, but not when you're trying to validate your experience. Okay? Awesome. Thank you for asking that. So Jolene says, oftentimes keywords on a job posting are soft skills. How to make sure I'm listing the right skills so I get screened in? Yeah. So, okay, first of all, Jolene and everyone else out there, please note that no amount of gaming the system is going to really statistically increase the chances that you get pulled from the pile. You need to be 100% fit. You need to fill out every field. And even then, you need to be probably in the top 5 or 10 to get a call. It's just a numbers game these days. So applying online is not the only way to look for your job. It's one minor step in the process. You need to also know how to go around the ATS and use networking techniques to get your application pulled from the pile and looked at and screened in. So subject for another day, but there's way more to it than that. And I just feel like I have to go on the record about that. Now, job postings will have the soft skills because you know what? They're trying to sell you on the idea of the job. So they're going to mention the soft skills because soft skills make you feel good about yourself, right? Are you a proven leader with great attention to detail, an exceptional follow through? Okay, you see that. That all sounds so good. That sounds so positive. But I can't quantify attention to detail, proven, and follow through. So they're going to write the job description in soft skills. It's up to you to pull out of the job description the hard skills. And again, this is such a tricky thing. The technique we use at Work It Daily, we have our members find a job description, go over and use a free service online to create a word cloud. So when you create a word cloud, you copy and paste all the text of the job description, you throw it into a word cloud. And what comes up, folks, is the words that are used the most throughout the job description are in big letters, right? They're bigger than the rest of the words. So then go through and look at the word cloud, look at all of the big words, and the ones that are hard skills that I've just walked you through, those are what needs to be in your application, on your resume, in your LinkedIn profile. That's the secret. It's really easy to do. I love the visual because it immediately jumps off the page and you go, oh, I get it. Even though they've been talking about all these soft skills in order to make the job description sound interesting, the reality is they need the hard skills. And those are the ones that I need to map myself to. Make no mistake. Great question, by the way, Jolene. Sabrina says the best skill for a proofreader or translator is to have very good eye for detail, but you said that's a soft skill. That's right. Right? So Sabrina, if you are a proofreader or a translator, translation, document translation, right? Or audio translation, that I can measure. If you've done that 100 times, you're probably pretty good at it. I know that you've got attention to detail. You don't need to tell me that. Proofreading, have proofread more than 75 documents and over 1 million words of text. Okay. It's not Sabrina's first rodeo. She's clearly a proofreader. You're helping me understand the depth of your experience when you quantify your skill sets. Proofreading, hard skill. Translation, hard skill. Attention to detail, soft skill. See the difference? I'm so glad you guys are throwing these questions up because it is nuanced and it's something we see a lot and work through with people inside Work It Daily every day. So you're not alone. Nobody teaches you this stuff in school. I try to remind you, that's why we're here. That's why Work It Daily is broadcasting 3 days a week, because we know nobody taught you this stuff. So don't beat yourself up, but I'm glad you're here learning this because it's pretty important. Let's see. Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. There's some questions here that are not related to this, and I really want to focus on this topic today. Let's say, is there an exercise that determines which hard skills go to a specific persona? No, we don't have something specific for that, mostly because once you do the persona quiz and you see what your personas are, you can pretty much figure out what skills, and then our members send it to the coaching team, the team reviews it. So no, we don't have any technique for that, but hey, we'll think about that one, Stephen. Let's see. Does it matter how long ago the skills were acquired? Ooh, good question, Jacqueline. So we say the last 15 years of experience are the most relative. So if you are going to put on a transferable skill that you have literally not used, a hard skill, in over 15 years, probably not a good idea. No one's going to assume that that skill is still really relevant. So your hard skills should be something that you've done in the last 15 years. Great question. Let's see. Can you provide a few examples of hard skills for mentors? Absolutely. So mentors, very simply, have mentored people, right? So have you managed a team, a staff? Were you responsible for 20 people on a particular project to help them get it done? Have you done particular training in order to upskill people or educate people? Have you partnered with people? There's any time that you were helping someone develop their skills, you generally were seen in a mentor capacity and you would evaluate those skills, right? Does that make sense? So look at the activities that you did to be a mentor and see those activities and how you can count them up, how you can quantify them. Okay, so how to summarize hard skills when you have a long job history and a diverse background. Again, so Mashid, I hope I'm saying that right. This is a wonderful question. I get this all the time for people that have been working for 10, 20, 30 years. It's on you to decide what you want to market about yourself. This is what it goes right back to the beginning of this conversation. So for you, I would say go take the Career Decoder and which 3 came up, because the Career Decoder asks you what you prefer. Do you prefer to do this or do you prefer to do that? Do you prefer to do this or do you prefer to do that? Through your answers, we see what your preferred personas are. So now, Mashid, you have to say, okay, yeah, that's the kind of work I want to do. I don't want to do everything. I want to do those 3 things. Now you're going to choose the skill sets that map to those 3 personas, and that becomes your brand. Because yes, you can do a lot of different things. You've had a long work history, but you cannot market all that. It's too confusing. It's too all over the board. And candidly, folks, Just going to let you in on a little secret here. Every year that you work, you climb in what's called the wisdom tax. So when you've been out working 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, there's a wisdom tax. And what that simply means is that everyone assumes that because you've worked that long, you are learning more and more of what you don't want and more of what you do. So the expectation that you would know your brand, your specialty, and how you want to apply it to work gets even greater the older you get. And this is where I see so many people in their 40s and 50s and 60s falling off the bell curve right now. And by the way, huge session tomorrow. I believe it's tomorrow. Team, is it tomorrow? Age discrimination? Yeah, I think it's tomorrow. Live stream tomorrow. I'm going to be talking about this because one of the biggest problems people have right now with age discrimination is that they are paying the wisdom tax and they don't have a strong brand. They don't know how to dial their brand in. So many people I know in their 40s and beyond that are struggling to get work are running around trying to act like a Jack and Jill of all trades, and it's working against them. You have got to be dialed in. You are expected, you are seen as more evolved in your career, and therefore the expectation is that you have learned enough to know what you do and don't want and how to present that. Whereas somebody just coming out of school and a lot younger doesn't know that stuff yet, less pressure is put on them. But every year that passes that you work, folks, the expectation that you are better and better at branding yourself is there. And this is why so many people are struggling to find work right now. One of the reasons. I'm going to talk about a few others tomorrow, but that is one of the reasons, little hat tip. So come back tomorrow. If you're over 40 and you think you're having age discrimination, come back tomorrow. Awesome. So let's see. What's a word cloud? Doug, go Google it, my friend. Go Google word cloud and you'll find it. That's a great question. Let's see. How many years makes you look too old? Well, Anne, my advice is only go back 15 years. There's always exception to every rule. If some really relevant experience or you worked at a really high profile company happened in that 15 to 20 year mark, then include that. But you're historically probably not going to go back further than 20 years. And usually we say 15 to stay the most relevant. Okay. Awesome. Wow. You guys are amazing. How are we doing on time here? I need to check the time. Are we doing well? Do I have a few minutes left? Let me take a look here. So much to cover. So I'm going to come up on the screen. It looks like we've done a pretty good job of answering all the questions related to transferable skills. Just want to make sure before we move on. So folks, questions on that. What was the most helpful thing you heard today with respect to how to quantify your transferable skills? Don't forget, if you want to take the quiz, you can over to the resources page, take that quiz, knock it out, and we can talk about your skills. I'd love it if everybody shared their personas. I'm always fascinated to see persona combinations. So make sure you share them in the comments as well. But I really hope this part of the session helped you today. And what I'm going to do now is just for the last few minutes, because I do have a few minutes here, I'm going to go ahead and answer a few of the general questions that we had on here. So give me a second to pull that up. Looks like we had some good questions here. So Lenny says, a little off topic, JT, but is it okay to apply for different roles within the same recruiting agency? Wonderful question, Lenny. So you always want to check if it's a recruiting agency, meaning they're sourcing jobs for you at various companies. It's okay to apply to more than one. They expect that. Usually, though, you meet up with a recruiter and they know which jobs to pitch you for. Now, folks, if there's a company, let's say there's a larger company and they have several opportunities that you're interested in, be careful. Every company is different. Some encourage you and want you to apply to multiple positions, and usually they will state that on their webpage. Some only want you to pick one and apply to that and find it very overwhelming. I've seen people get blacklisted because, hey, they saw 20 jobs at a company, applied to all 20. What you don't see on the other side is the recruiters getting slammed and this person seems to be applying to like anything and everything. So they look totally lacking focus and they get blacklisted from the company. It looks desperate. So you have to be very, very careful. If there's a company that has multiple job opportunities you're interested in, it's really in your best interest to do a little homework and even inquire with their recruiting team or somewhere online to say, is it okay and allowed to apply to multiple positions? But most importantly, please make sure that you're a fit. Right now, just because you can doesn't mean you should. I see people doing spray and pray, all the time, and it doesn't work for you, and it doesn't help you. It doesn't help the employer. You only want to apply to companies where you truly are 100% match, about 90 to 100% match. Any less, and you're going to get disqualified. And if you're overqualified, you're probably going to get disqualified too. So this is why ATS systems, online systems, aren't the best way for you to apply for work. You can do it, but there's a very small chance you'll get called. That's why we also teach you at Work It Daily to go around the process and start to build a strategy so that you can get recognized by them instead of tossed by the applicant tracking system. Okay. Awesome. Good question. Let's see. Eric says, how do I quantify the results if my employer does not track it or I do not have access to that data? Ooh, good question, Eric. So I always tell people to guesstimate. There's never been a candidate that I've worked with that we weren't able to figure out how to guesstimate, meaning conservatively guess at what we think the numbers are. So, I'll give you an example. I had somebody come to me and say, I'm a receptionist. There's no way to quantify what I do. And I said, really? So how many people work at the company? Oh, 400. And how many phone lines on your system? 10. And how many calls do you think you field a day? Oh, a good 150. Guess what? You just proved to me that you run, for a 400 person company, you run a 10-line phone system taking more than 150 calls a day. You put that in one sentence and a recruiter understands immediately the size and depth and scope of your work. So there's a way to do it. It's just very foreign to us initially, Eric, and everyone else out there. If you're having trouble quantifying yourself, you need to work with someone. Once you see it, it just takes a little while to understand. But once you see it and understand how to quantify yourself, it's like a light switch goes off in your head. And then you always start thinking about quantifying yourself. But it's not something they teach us in school. So you don't know to do that. And you really should. It really, really does help. Okay. Awesome question. All right. Let's see. We have a couple other questions here. Steve says, should I customize our resume for each job application? So that is a trend these days that you would customize your resume. But here's the thing. You got to be smart about this. So customizing the entire resume, changing all the bullet points in your work history and adjusting everything is a total waste of your time, especially since I've said to you, less than 3% of people who apply on live ever get a phone call. At Work It Daily, what we teach you to do is to create a top fold of your resume. So we know that recruiters open your resume, spend about 6 seconds on it. They skim it. If they see the basic information they need for the job, then they will go back through and look at it more closely. The top fold is what they're going to see first. And that should be the one and only place you need to customize. That makes it really easy for you to customize the headline, some key skill sets, and a little other information, which we teach in Work It Daily. But then all the rest of it stays exactly the same. So that enables you to customize for each job, but not mess things around. And the reason for this, and this is very important, folks, recruiters are going to look at your resume and then they're going to go to your LinkedIn profile. So what are you going to do? You're going to change the resume and then go change the LinkedIn profile. They want to see the work history to be identical. If I see one thing on the resume and then I go over and I'm getting a whole different brand message on the LinkedIn profile, I'm not going to call you because I'm getting brand confusion and I feel like you're looking for different things, which means you aren't really focused on the type of job that I want you to have. So that's why the majority of your resume, especially the work history, needs to be identical to what they see on LinkedIn. You don't want to change that up. You have to make consistent brand messaging. So again, the solution is to only change the top fold of your resume and to know how to do that. Okay. Awesome. And by the way, in the resources section, we have resume templates, cover letter templates. If you go over there, you can check all that out. Interview prep templates. There's just, people ask about this stuff all the time on the live stream. So we have one resource, one page that you guys can go to get all that. Okay. Awesome. Okay. So let's see here. One more question, then I got to round it out for today. Let's see. Who did I miss? I see one from, all right, one more. Did I get them all? I think I got them all. Maybe I did. Oh, Ann says, hey, Ann Skinner says, so in the header, then the key skill sets, should they be a bullet points and then a brief paragraph and then the experience and the skills mapped in? No, that's not how it works, Ann. You're basically going to create a headline and some columns of key skill sets so that their eye is really drawn in. Then a few other key pieces of information that they ask for, like whether or not you need degrees or certifications, whatever it is. After that, your work history is only going to be bullet points. Folks, please don't write anything in paragraph form on a resume or on LinkedIn for that matter. When you write a paragraph, people stop reading. It's just too long. We live in a skim world. They are not reading things line by line. If you've got paragraphs, they're not reading them. Everything needs to be simplified. Bullet points should be 1 to 2 lines long tops. Everything needs to be simplified these days. That is the on-point trend. When you write long paragraphs, you are coming across as overselling yourself, narcissistic, and wordy. Paragraphs are a no. They do not get read on LinkedIn or on your resume. So you have got to have a much simplified style. I opened up a resume yesterday of one of our executive clients, and literally it was 5 pages of paragraphs. I was so visually overwhelmed, I had to close it. And the worst part was I couldn't even get a sense of what he was an executive in. It was just so overdone. So you've got to be careful. The on-trend types of documents these days for resume, LinkedIn is simple, 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 white space, fact-based only. I should be able to skim it and know what your specialties are. Wordy doesn't cut it. Hopefully that helps. Okay, awesome. All right, you guys, thank you so much. Listen, again, favorite thing that you learned today, please put it in the comments below. Come back tomorrow. I'm going to be talking about age discrimination in the workplace. Really, really hot topic. Very, very sensitive, I know. But please come if you're over 40 and you really understand the stuff, what's going on in the marketplace, how you can compete against it. My goal is to help you feel better. So much anger and frustration and sadness out there. It breaks my heart to see. So I'm going to come and give it to you straight. If you come back tomorrow, I'll tell you all about it. All right. Awesome. Okay, folks. And just a reminder, if you want to get notifications that I am going live, you've got to follow me. And the other big thing, and I don't have a screenshot of it, but we've started our own hashtag. It's hashtag JTTalksJobs, JTTalksJobs, JT Talks Jobs. If you follow that on LinkedIn, you are able to go back and see all the previously recorded live streams. So if you can't attend these live, but you want to be able to go back and look at them, go follow the hashtag on LinkedIn, JT Talks Jobs, and you'll be able to do that. All right. Awesome. Okay, team. Thanks so much for stopping by. I will see you next time. Tomorrow's age discrimination. Have a great day. And remember, if you want to win, you got to work it daily. All right. Ciao, everyone.